Hi everyone, it's Carrie Carlson, your National Vice President, if you haven't met me before. And I had this flash of inspiration that I needed to get some more training to you guys because as a parent and as an Arbonne mentor, business mentor, I have these moments where I just want to download what's in my brain to you after 8 years of accumulating some great knowledge and experience. I feel like hopefully I can shorten your learning curve or at least make you aware of some things that might come up and give you the tools to deal with them when they do. So pardon my cat here in the background. That's my occupational hazard, my office assistant, and hopefully she'll stop meowing here in a second. But today I really wanted to address something that happens to new consultants that often leads to them leaving this business when they shouldn't, and because they don't have this information and they're not prepared for what's going to happen. And it's the cycles of business. So many of us, most of us are women, and as women we are emotional creatures, and we tend to ride our emotions, and we come to this business really high and we leave this business low, and then it didn't, just wasn't the experience we thought it was going to be. So we need to understand the cycles of business so we can prepare for this, because when we feel good we work, and when we don't feel good and we're in a bad mood, we don't work. And that's not good for business. We want to kind of have these little, minor ups and downs and stay really consistent. So here's the 4 stages of business. There's go for it. Then we go into the doldrums. And after the doldrums, we start cocooning. And then when we're out of our cocooning stage, we kind of blossom out again. It's springtime. We're getting ready. And we're in the getting ready phase, and we're getting ready again for the honeymoon or go for it period. So the first period, go for it, can be any length of time, but typically in this business, it's anywhere from 6 to 12 weeks. You're excited, your brain is learning something new, you have a challenge, you have hope that you can change your current situation, and that feels fantastic. And then we typically hit something called the doldrums. Now, it may feel like fatigue, it might feel like a brick wall is in front of us. It can feel all kinds of ways. So let me explain something that I have learned only recently from Keith Kochner. I understood it in theory, but I have a really clear idea that our subconscious is here. This is the idea of who we think we are, subconsciously. And here's when we're introduced to Arbonne. We have this vision of who we could be, a leader, someone who can, just change our circumstances and circumstances of other people. But we have this subconscious belief of what we're actually capable of and what we actually deserve. Like, maybe it's, and usually negative, holds us back, right? Like, well, I'm not a good business owner, or I can't talk in front of people, or whatever it is. There's all kinds of beliefs we have. So when our brain and our experiences start moving us towards this positive Arbonne experience, we try to make this true, this old self true. So that's when we hit the doldrums and we start to make up stories that don't serve us, like, well, this business doesn't work, or my sponsor's a real stinker, or I don't really care for my upline. I don't really, this product didn't work out. My friends and family will never support me. We start making up all these stories, and we start to plan our escape from Arbonne without telling anybody, right? We go into that cocooning. We kind of go right from doldrums to the cocoon. And we might have this realization that it's a business and that there's a routine side of it, and then we actually do have to work at it, and there's a lot of fun to it, but there's also a work component to it. So we want to make sure that we're aware of this, because when you do hit that, you are going to say, oh, I'm in the doldrums. What can I do? What's holding me back? What doesn't feel right? Where's my discomfort? Why I'm out of my comfort zone. Why? And help you reach out to your sponsor and your upline to get the tools to move through it. Then you're going to be in the cocooning stage. You're going to pull inside and really question what it's all about. So this is why we have new consultants work on their why. Why are you doing Arbonne? And I know for me, I had a lot of great reasons, but to be honest with you, it wasn't until I was a year into my business that I had an experience that, socked me right between the eyes and was like, that's what they're talking about, this elusive why everyone's talking about. You need to go to meetings, go to phone calls, go to GTC, and that's when you're going to build your belief up to the point where you see the possibilities that will make your heart sing and really get you connected emotionally to this business. So I can't stress that enough. how important, because without a strong why, you will get stuck in these doldrums and the cocoons, and you may not make it out of it, at least in terms of Arbonne. So what this might look like, doldrums and cocoonings, again, you might not be calling your sponsor or returning texts and emails. You might be blaming and justifying why this doesn't work out, and we're really good at blaming and justifying everything except for ourselves in the beginning. Or we could be the kind of person like, it's just not for me. I just don't think that this is right for me. But we're not getting to the heart of it, right? We're not really trying to figure it out. So what I want you to realize is that wherever you go, there you are. Meaning, this challenge and this circumstance is the focus right now, Arbonne. But anywhere else you go, you're probably going to be faced with something like it when you're in a position of growth. And if you don't face it, you're not going to have the tools and ability to get through it. So we just really want to make sure that you recognize the doldrums and the cocoons is just something internal challenge that you need to address. And we definitely have the tools and ability to help you do that at Arbonne. So call your sponsor back, stop blaming, stop justifying, and get ready to work. Let's be in a building mode. Getting ready is the fourth phase. You're in springtime, you're coming out of your shell, and you're getting re-energized. So a couple things. Realize that your business and personal life can be in different parts of the cycle, and realize that you and your team can also be in different parts of the cycle, which can be particularly frustrating when you're in the getting ready, go for it stage, and your team is in the doldrum cocooning stage. So now we need to talk about grief, because grief is a big part of this business. And we tend to think that the grief cycle is only for maybe when someone dies, but it's actually, we go through the grief process every single day. It could be, grieving that you dropped your cookie on the floor, like my son did. Or it could be grieving you're not in a certain dress size, or you're grieving a goal that you set for yourself and you didn't hit on the date that you wanted to. You could be grieving your production numbers. Anything, a bad party, your shipment didn't arrive on time, something, you're going to grieve. Now, most of the time, we get angry about it and we let it go. We kind of go through the cycles really quick. But there's actually 6 cycles of the grief process, and I want to see if you think you might be caught in any of them. First one is denial. The second one is bargaining. And this is the one I think shows up a lot in Arbonne. So have you ever bargained with yourself that you have a negative teammate that you've convinced yourself you can help them? I can help them be a positive person. I can help them be successful in Arbonne. I mean, there's a difference between coaching and convincing. How many times have you bargained that you can make that promotion, you're just going to have a big sale and get there? Now, I'm not saying that sales are necessarily bad, but you really need to understand and acknowledge, are you bargaining somehow to just hit that volume goal, or are you doing it as a business strategy? So we tend to bargain a lot in Arbonne. Okay, you don't hit it. The negative teammate falls apart. You don't hit your promotion, or you hit your promotion and you don't sustain it, so you might feel some sadness. That's okay, totally normal. You might go into a little bit of a depression. That's okay, totally normal. You can lack a feeling, you're gonna feel flat, and could be for short term. If it's long term, maybe you need some extra help processing it. But after depression comes the anger, which is good. You want to be angry. If you're frustrated, that's not good, because frustration is typically anger or disappointment that hasn't been processed. So you really want to identify where that comes from and get some tools to get out of it, which is what we're going to talk about next. Just recognize time doesn't always make it better, but it's just a part of it. You need to express and release the feelings. So you definitely don't want to, frustration can be a little bit dangerous if you're not recognizing that you're working with people and you're working with life and things happen. So 6th stage is acceptance. And what we're going to do is we're going to think of an event, and whatever emotion comes up, just know that that's where you're stuck. So you're going to accept it, and then we're going to express it, not just think about it. We're not going to obsess about it. We're going to just think about it clearly, express it, and then we're going to release it. And when you do that, then the acceptance stage will come. Again, 2-year-olds don't say, should I be angry? They just release their anger. So we want to capture our inner 2-year-old and be like, I'm going to be angry, I'm going to express it, I'm going to release it. So this is what you're going to do. You are going to think of a situation that frustrates you, angers you, and you can't seem to let it go. and it probably is a person. So maybe think of 2 or 3 people in your life or some circumstances in your life, and you're going to fire them. So go somewhere where no one can hear you, a shower, a pillow, a car, and you're going to scream as loud as you absolutely possibly can, "You're fired, you're fired, you're fired," thinking of that person or situation. And just let it go. If possible, have that pillow near you and punch it, because I think physical and vocal release is best. And we're just going to let those situations go. Now, if it happens to be you, that's one of the person, you know, you can either be a part of you and distance that from like not the real you, not the core essence of you, but a situation that happened. You're going to figure out a way to let that go without, beating yourself up. You don't need to fire yourself. You're a great boss and a great consultant. So talk to your sponsor if that tool doesn't work for you. And I hope that was helpful for you guys. I'll share with you one quick story before I go, which is when I was 2 years into my business, my babies were born. We were RVP going on our way to nation, and it was a really tough time because I really wanted to spend time with my babies, but I really wanted to spend time with my business because I loved it, and I do still love it. And I just had to figure it out. So I talked to my family, well, my husband, and made a plan. And I also did a lot of research, and I realized, and I read it the other day, and it made a lot of sense to me. We don't want to be on a tightrope. When we say we're balanced life, that doesn't mean we're like perfectly on this tightrope having, life and work and, it's all balanced out, because that's not really realistic. But what you can do is, and what I did was really draw some great boundaries. And I really focused on quality time with my kids and quality time with my business and not letting them bleed into each other. And I had researched that stay-at-home parents typically only spend 20 more minutes of quality time with their children than stay-at-home or than working parents. Meaning, even though I might be home, I'm usually doing laundry or cooking or cleaning up something and not spending quality one-on-one, eye-to-eye time with my kids on the floor, even though I'm home with them. So that made me feel a lot better delegating some of those things to someone else. So there's always an answer, and it's usually not walking away from Arbonne. It's just looking at something from a different angle. So I hope that's helpful to you. Have a great week. If there's any topic that you want me to address in particular, let me know. Thanks, and have a great day.